The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by CPS America, maker of North America's number one three-phase string inverter, with over 8 gigawatts shipped in the U.S. The CPS product lineup includes string inverters ranging from 25 kW to 350 kW. Their flagship inverter, the CPS 350 kW, is designed to work with solar plants ranging from 2 megawatts to 2 gigawatts. CPS is the world's most bankable inverter brand and is America's number one choice for solar plants, now offering solutions for commercial, utility, ESS, and balance of system requirements. Go to chintpowersystems.com or call 855-584-7168 to find out more.
I don't mind it. I don't, if the customers really want to rely on me and if I can be there to help them out, the bottom line is helping our customers. And if I have to make myself available for them, sure. They call me Saturday, call me Sunday. I'll take their calls. I'm happy to help them. It makes their job easier, especially if I can provide them a basic understanding and maybe it helps them.
Are you speeding the energy transition? Here at the Clean Power Hour, our host Tim Montague bring you the best in solar, batteries, and clean technologies every week. Want to go deeper into decarbonization? We do too. We're here to help you understand and command the commercial, residential, and utility solar, wind, and storage industries. So let's get to it. Together we can speed the energy transition.
Today on the Clean Power Hour, field service in the solar industry. My guest today is David Huebsch. He is a field service engineer and manager for CPS America in the Central Region. Welcome to the show, David.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Excited to have you on the show and learn more about your work here in the Midwest. I live in Central Illinois, and as our listeners know, we have a burgeoning community and utility scale solar industry here in the Midwest and across the country. It is a geographic thing, right? Some states have more solar than others. Texas has surpassed California. But anyway, David, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you came to CPS.
Hey, thanks, Tim. Yes, so I started off one day deciding to have a change in careers, and I jumped into renewable energy. I started with wind turbine technician, and I did that for several years, and then
you mean like climbing the tower?
At every opportunity I got, I would climb. Yes.
Wow, that takes some cojones.
Yeah, I was I had some nicknames to myself when I first started because I was afraid of heights. Yes, it's something that heights. You either can get used to it or you don't get used to it. And so I had some nicknames, but I got used to it. And so that kind of helped me gear my transition into solar, which it's kind of the same background.
Well, pretty different, I would have to say. I mean, they're both clean energy, but climbing a wind tower is not the same as working on an inverter on a rack. But how did you get interested in the solar industry? What was the entree?
I think I was at that point in my life where, yes, climbing was kind of got to my body and was pretty, at my age, it was pretty intense. And so I decided to maybe switch and try to keep my feet on the ground a little bit more. So.
Yeah, I have heard that it's quite physically demanding. And so doing wind turbine technician work is, I think, a younger man's sport. But how long have you been in solar now?
I think on Thursday will be my 7 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I started with the CPS January 9th in 2018.
Gotcha. And so tell us a little bit about that journey. Like what has that journey been like for you?
Oh man, it's been phenomenal. I do have to say it was I came from a wind energy company. and just the regiment of being, you know, on top of things and always go, 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 go. And coming to CPS, it was way relaxed, and it it made me more comfortable coming into CPS. The management that was really awesome to work with, people that are more easygoing and just trying to do the best you can do instead of always trying to push you. So it was really a blessing for me.
That's so cool. So you came to CPS when Brian Wagner was still in business development, right?
Yeah, Brian Wagner was one of our salespeople, and I I had a very when I first got hired with CPS, I had a very lengthy conversation with Brian. It really he made me at ease more about transitioning into CPS. It was really great.
So was there a steep learning curve though, or did you already know about power electronics?
I I have an education. I have uh, applied science degree from Iowa Lakes, and so I did take some power electronics courses in there. A lot of electrical courses. So it kind of that's my background. So I felt really comfortable coming into CPS.
Yeah. What is the hardest part? I'm just curious. There's, wind turbine technicians is also a very fast growing job. Solar installer and wind turbine technician are two of the fastest growing jobs in America. But if a wind turbine technician were listening to this, what's the hardest part of making the transition to solar from wind?
I guess on a day-to-day basis, dealing, making yourself available for your customers. I think that was a kind of a transition challenge for me per se than just my knowledge of renewable energy, but just because with the wind energy, my customer was just basically the company, right? But with solar, now you have, yes, the CPS company, but you also have a lot of customers that, call you on a daily basis. You get to know, and you have to have a positive report from your customers. And so you really have to take care of them. So I think that was probably one of my biggest challenges.
Mm. So you're dealing more with customers directly than you were in the turbine industry?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely more. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's not for everyone. If you're just used to turning a wrench, so to speak, and then all of a sudden you have to have some soft skills also,
Yes.
uh, that's a different matter. And you know, you're the problem solver, right? People are calling you when they have a problem, so it's not always a happy conversation, I would imagine. But tell our listeners, what exactly do you do? What does your daily work entail?
Uh, so a lot of times, start up the morning. I have a schedule. I have several customers in my area that I do go out and do field service work. I do repairs. We do commissioning. Um, so I have to keep a pretty tight schedule on that, and knowing where I'm going, and travel times and stuff like that. Also, answering phone calls, I guess. For customers. I took a couple calls this morning already. So it's I guess you really have to be kind of flexible too, and that it's your customers calling you. You really should pay attention to your customers, and if they got a questions, you need to kind of stop what you're doing and focus your what you're doing on them and try to resolve their issues.
Yeah. You touched on something early on about the culture at CPS. It is a surprisingly laid back culture. It's very friendly. It's very familial. Like the
Oh yeah,
real,
I wouldn't say we're laid back by no means. I think because of the industry and how, like you said, we're over 100 employees. I think when I started, we had less than 50 employees, and
Mhm.
so just in the 7 years, we have doubled our employees, and so I think. I think a lot of us are I wouldn't say struggling, but I think a challenge is trying to keep up with everything. And it's a bit, yeah.
Well, there's a constant evolution of the products. The product line is expanding, right?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
we've got a new
three,
product out there right now. It's a detachable 250 kilowatt inverter, which got a separable wire box.
yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that 250, 600 volt product this year. And because I'm not an engineer, I don't really understand why that's such a big deal. I know that Standard Solar is super thrilled about it, and they were involved in, helping to develop the product. But could you real quick compare and contrast the 600 volt, the new product with the detachable wire box versus the 800 volt product?
Oh yeah, the with the 800 volt 250, you basically that inverter is all entailed all itself. So all your wiring, all your ACs, connections are just in the inverter. So when it comes down to like a replacement standard or replacement part,
Mm,
you have to kind of replace the whole inverter. Now with the 250 600 volt, obviously it's a 600 volt system,
yeah.
but you also have a detachable wire box. So with the detachable wire box and you're just replacing the power head, the service part of it becomes tremendously less time involved. So that's basically as far as the standard, as far as as what you're looking at, serviceability and what your technicians have the time for. The separable wire boxes, it saves you a ton of time.
Got it. Sounds lovely. So there are kind of three things I think that you're dealing with on a daily basis. You're dealing with the technology, the inverters mostly, and, the communication systems that make it talk. You're dealing with your customers, and you're dealing with the team at CPS, right? It takes a team to deliver the goods, so to speak. But tell us,
Oh,
what were you
go
going to
ahead.
say?
I said, yeah, the team that we have is our service team is phenomenal to work with. Everyone is I can call anyone and they pick up the phone right away and they're able to help me and vice versa. They call me, I'm there for them. I pick up the phone. When we discuss, certain such situations and sometimes it does leave us scratching our head, but we always try to work together and try to solve, what the issues are.
And as far as servicing your customer, there's a couple different scenarios you mentioned. You're commissioning new projects, you're doing repairs, and sometimes repair, I'm sure, can be done remotely. Sometimes it's just a matter of doing a software update, and then sometimes you have to replace parts in the field. And I would imagine that you're supporting many other individuals who are doing some of this work in the field as well, right? Other technicians, both for CPS, but also for just O&M companies, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would say the majority of my calls are from field technicians who we do have a hotline that they can call in, but sometimes if they're in a dire need or if I have a really good report, like I have some really good customers that I can, they call me and I can say, hey, how you been? Hey, it's good to see you. And it's that report that I like to get to with my customers.
So what I guess I would love to paint a picture for our listeners about this life that you lead and what it is that you ultimately are doing. I mean, you're a problem solver, you're an answer man, you're an expert, but it's a little hard unless you're a field service technician, or an installer or an electrician, to really understand what's going on here. So walk us through a problem solution or a couple of problems and solutions that you're dealing with on a regular basis, if you would.
So yeah, I think you brought up one thing earlier about communications, and yeah, I think communications is probably hands down probably one of the most common things and probably the toughest thing to troubleshoot. I wouldn't say it's really tough to troubleshoot, but it takes if you're not there troubleshooting with them, it kind of makes it a little difficult to see what actually is all going on with the communications part. There's so many variables that could cause communication breakdown. But faults on the inverter, hard faults, if I have to go out there and I have one customer that we have a Flex Gateway product and they have Flex Gateways at pretty much all their sites. And so I have one customer and that will email me, say, Dave, we got a down inverter. Can you take a look at it? They let me know the site. And yeah, I can go on our CPS portal, our Flex Gateway, and look into it and say, yeah, oh, I can see what's going on with it. Let me try to repair that remotely. If I can't repair that remotely, I will make a site visit and repair it at the site. So,
Hmm.
so that's one of them. I mean, the Flex Gateway really helps us out a lot to see what's going on, and it really makes my job a lot easier.
The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by CPS America, maker of North America's #1 three-phase string inverter, with over 8 gigawatts shipped in the U.S. The CPS product lineup includes string inverters ranging from 25 kW to 350 kW. Their flagship inverter, the CPS 350 kW, is designed to work with solar plants ranging from 2 megawatts to 2 gigawatts. CPS is the world's most bankable inverter brand and is America's #1 choice for solar plants, now offering solutions for commercial, utility, ESS, and balance of system requirements. Go to chintpowersystems.com or call 855-584-7168 to find out more. I'm curious, how do you identify the inverter? Like, they give you a site name, you know the customer. I'm just curious, like, how long does it take to drill down inside the gateway system to find the inverter?
Well, we have several ways that we can drill down. We have, if you have the Flex Gateway serial number, you have the inverter serial number, you have the site name. Usually the inverter serial number, if it's on the Flex Gateway, is the best way because I can go right to that inverter and take a look at it and say, oh yeah. So let me see what I can do. But very quickly, within a minute, how's that sound?
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you mentioned communications. What are some common issues that cause communications to fail on a site?
So in some scenarios, I think a lot of people don't understand that with RS, most of the sites are using RS-45, and those communication systems are low voltage, and it doesn't take much low voltage or surge in the voltage to take out different communication cards or maybe take out your data logger or maybe take out your surge burst protection and your RS-45 line that you have. Trying to figure out where your issue lies as far as communication. Is the whole site down? Is it just an inverter down, or is it just a group of inverters down? That's basically how you have to go through and try to figure out, where the problem might be or where to start looking for your problem.
Have you done field service for any other companies in the solar industry?
Not for the solar energies, no.
Right. How does a customer know when they need to escalate a problem? And is there tension there at all? I'm just curious. Like, I could see how when customers get to know you, they realize like, oh, he's really easy to work with. He takes my call. He solves my problem. It might be tempting for them to over rely on you. Does that happen?
Sure. I guess it can happen. I don't mind it. I don't, if the customers really want to rely on me and if I can be there to help them out, the bottom line is helping our customers. And if I have to make myself available for them, sure. They call me Saturday, call me Sunday. I'll take their calls. I'm happy to help them. It makes their job easier, especially if I can provide them a basic understanding, and maybe it helps them also.
When a site is being commissioned for the first time, walk us through what is happening and what are the possible challenges that have to be overcome.
So when a site gets commissioned, we're turning the inverters on for the first time. So they need to be initialized. We need to know, what kind of grid code they're offering, what kind of connection rule, RS-45, and sometimes it might be power line communications, PLC too. And so we all need to know that stuff up in front, and where we're starting these inverters up and getting them all ready for communications and to start to have the site being turned on, and producing power. So
can a customer do a commissioning? Let's say it's a community solar project. There's 15 to 30 inverters on an array. Can a customer complete that completely independently of CPS, or are they always going to need support during that process?
no, so they can do this independently, which if they can do it independently, absolutely. They don't need us there. They do call us if anything arises. So it's what you want to pay for, I guess.
Cool. Well, what else would you like my listeners to know about the field service operation at CPS?
And so, yeah, that's a really good topic that I really would like to discuss. I mean, our service team is second to none. If you look at our managers, our East Coast, West Coast, me, we have a field service technician that's been there from day one with CPS, 13 plus years. And so you'll find that our qualifications as far as a service team is great. It's the best in the industry. We have a lot of, and we're growing quite a bit too. So we have a few new technicians that we're taking underneath our wing and showing them the ropes. And then, I guess we really service, I think I really take pride in service and being there for my customers. So I think that's one thing that you can look at CPS and get to know your field technicians, or that's what I would suggest a company doing. Get to know your field technicians and get a good report with them, and because you establish that, and then you basically have a customer and a friend for life.
Are there times when you're confounded? I heard a horror story from an installer who was trying to get, and I don't know who the inverter manufacturer was, but they were trying to get a project commissioned, and they were getting some fault, and the manufacturer kind of threw up their hands, the utility had thrown up their hands, and the installer, which was the developer, was really caught in the middle. But do you run into instances where there really is an impasse?
Yeah, there can be, and especially in the Midwest where I'm at. Our local utility here requires, I'm sure everyone heard, loss of phase testing and witness testing. And so we have customers that, they do want to do everything themselves, which is great. And then they have come down to the witness testing and trying to resolve this with the utility. And if they don't, one thing I do like to tell my customers out there, if you are an EPC or a build developer and you're going to have a witness test, let us know. just give us a heads up, give us a call, give us an email,
Mm.
send it out to us and let it, hey, we're going to have a witness test. Is there anyone there that can help us so we can resolve your issues and be available to do that? Sometimes we might have to go on site and check it out, or,
The
so
expression witness test implies that the utility is going to be on site.
correct. Yes,
Yeah.
utility is on site when they're doing the witness test.
Hmm.
Um, no, I wouldn't say they always are on site, but there is somebody representing the utility when you are doing the witness test.
So let's just circle back a little bit on getting a project commissioned and completely operational. You're completing construction, right? So the installation is complete, the inverter is wired, and it's just a matter of getting permission to operate. And so then you're getting that PTO, as it's called, from the utility. Utility says yes after what is accomplished. What is their checklist like?
And so when they get PTO, permission to operate, that, the utility will say, okay, you can run it for 5 days. You can run it for these hours, and we can see, because the utility wants to see how it reflects on their grid as well. And so, they give a permission to operate for a certain amount of time during so many hours. A lot of times you can't leave them on over the weekend. A lot of times you can't leave the site running uh, when you leave. So, but we basically are trying to see if there's anything out of specs as far as what they're expecting operation is supposed to be. They have certain outcomes. They have certain requirements as far as kilowatts that they produce. And so if there's something there that the utility doesn't like, or what the builder or developer doesn't like, they're definitely going to see that and stop and ask us questions. What's going on here? What's wrong with this?
So there are gradations though of permission to operate. Like there's a because eventually there's some permanent. Okay, you can flip the switch and you're good to go. But that's like a phased approach.
Yes, I would say that. I think that all any kind of utility or developer, they are going to give you permission to operate. Oh, the length, I don't know. It all depends on per site. You might have 100 megawatt site, and they may only want you to turn 10 megawatts on at a time. So that may affect how much time you have to operate, permission to operate too. So, but the utility usually give you an opportunity to do that.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know what I don't know, David. So you need to help me out here. Like, what should customers, okay, buyers of CPS inverters, what should they know that they may not know today when it comes to service?
Well, I think expectations are very high when you buy a product from a company. I think that their expectations as far as who they're going to call, are they going to have maintenance free inverters? What kind of, I guess just having the support. I think they underestimate, the amount of support sometimes that is needed for inverters company, and when they're starting to site up, and because there's always, I wouldn't say always, but there's different issues on different sites. There's not always the same issue at the same at all the sites. So they're being having a customer support team that CPS has, I think is very crucial. And I think that's one of, if you're developing a site and you have poor support with your your inverters you bought, that might be a challenge.
Oh, for sure. I would argue that service is one of the greatest differentiators in the solar industries right now. You know, we have a lot of good technology out there, quite mature technology landscape, but it's very much apples and oranges in terms of the service you're going to get. You mentioned high expectations, and of course, we humans, we love our technology, but we also want it to just work, right? We want to take it out of the box, hook it up, and turn it on, and we want everything to work. But I think you're saying that we should expect there to be some interaction, you know, and because the way things change, right? Every product has, you know, some slight difference. There's a slightly different software. The installation might be slightly different. There's a different installer. And I'm curious if you see problems with installation methodology or quality that are relevant here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I, th- I think it happens. I don't really think that it happens a great deal, but it does. There is some quality issues as far as how the inverters are installed and securely to the and a lot of people. There's another thing too that a lot of people, a lot of developers are kind of underestimating the weight and the security of what the inverters needs to be, the wiring, and so there is some issues on that part. We try to teach them. We try to, you know, point out, hey, if we do it this way, it might be a better way. Less you may have less problems in the field, and so I mean, just like wind turbines, going back to that. Um, there's tremendous amount of vibration in a wind turbine. You don't actually see the vibration, but making sure that your connections are solid, having ferrules on the end of your wires, stuff like that, where the wires don't loosen up, and it's a great deal. I mean, it's a big thing if you can identify the problems ahead of time and teach them and show them that this might be a better way to do things. I think the developers, the builders, I think they take note of that.
For sure, for sure. Well, in our last few minutes together, David, we have a big event coming up for Chint known as Product Innovation Day. It's April 2nd in Dallas, Texas. We'll put a link in the show notes, and we're talking about this with CPS employees, including Brian Wagner, the president, and your customers. But what do you look forward to most about Product Innovation Day in Dallas, which is the core of it is a one-day mini conference for customers of CPS. It's a couple of days event, but so you get to rub shoulders with CPS, the whole team. You get some behind the scenes information about upcoming product releases, and you get to meet a bunch of other really awesome solar professionals. But what is it that you look forward to, and what do you tell people why they should consider going to Dallas on April 2nd?
You know what I really enjoy? I really enjoy if some of our sales department, they say, "Hey, I just landed a new account," and getting to meet those new guys in that account, and being able to, yeah, they're going to be in your neck of the woods, and I think that it is it is awesome to meet those people. And so I think that getting to know them and saying, yeah, I can work with your team, and here's my number, and just the amount of people it's grown so much in a few years. I think this is our third one, third, fourth. I don't
I think fourth.
but fourth ones. But wow, what a tremendous! If you're not on the list and to go, I think you should get on the list to go. And I know space. I'm not sure if we have limited space, but man, if you can get on the list to go and meet the Chint people, meet the service people, meet the engineering department, meet Fabiola, meet James Whipple, all those guys, and I mean, You have a tremendous amount of people with customer support and get to know those guys. They're going to be your friends. That's what I enjoy.
Thank you, David. Well, check out all of our content at cleanpowerhour.com. Please give us a rating and a review on Apple or Spotify. Tell a friend about the show and reach out to me on LinkedIn. I love to hear from my listeners. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, or you can contact me through the website, cleanpowerhour.com. David Huebsch, Field Service Engineer and Manager, Central Region. How can our listeners find you?
They can go to our website, Chint Power North America. You can look at our team. You'll see a picture of me there. You can email me at david.huebsch, last name spelled out, and at chintpower.com. Be glad to help you out.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, David. I'm Tim Montague. Let's grow solar and storage. Take care.
Thank you, Tim.
The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by CPS America, maker of North America's #1 three-phase string inverter, with over 8 gigawatts shipped in the U.S. The CPS product lineup includes string inverters ranging from 25 kW to 350 kW. Their flagship inverter, the CPS 350 kW, is designed to work with solar plants ranging from 2 megawatts to 2 gigawatts. CPS is the world's most bankable inverter brand and is America's #1 choice for solar plants, now offering solutions for commercial, utility, ESS, and balance of system requirements. Go to chintpowersystems.com or call 855-584-7168 to find out more.